I have to say, for a while now, you have chosen to put yourself on lock, to put yourself on hold, to not show up. You don't even understand why you're here. You question your very identity of who you are and why you were brought here. Perhaps you have never asked your parents what your birth story is. And perhaps you're the opposite and you painted a very pretty picture that comforts you and helps you sleep at night based around the narrative that you tell yourself. Everyone wants to believe their own story. Everyone wants to be the hero and to be the one who is everything to everyone. And some people are opposite of that. The polarity of that is to not be, to not breathe, to not exist. At least this is the conditioned response of the denial, the neglect, the shadow, the unseen, the unkept. From furthering my studies and working with my great team, Trina Mason, I hung out with a girl who had inspired me to channel this message. I will title her M. M had told me that darkness is infinite and she will absorb all things, and basically how light is conditioned and is contained and not infinite, and that it sincerely needs the space, the darkness, the density to contain the light in order to contain it. And now some of that is like my own language incorporated into that, or like my understanding of that, and some words are like kind of perfect, although I did not record that exact moment being there with her. And so I attempted to share with you the light in her that has now transcribed into the light in me, the way that I had understood and standed under being able to fully support and know what I was supporting. And sometimes I thought I knew the truth, and I really believed that what I had known was the truth. But the truth is I had sacrificed the truth for the story that I wanted to believe. I'd wanted to believe that I had been doing right. I wanted to believe that I had it all figured out. I wanted to believe the story I'd told myself to quiet the story inside of myself. I am currently in the process of integrating the shadow, I realize, and that is why I am no longer super certain of my definite creation of this second video of the shadow work. I'm continuing to exercise these things, and I imagine eventually perhaps I'll be able to make a more grounded video. Or I'm not really sure how many ways. I'm just supposed to anchor these things in and be them. I'm just exercising them. And that's basically what's happening with the shadow, right? I'm dancing with it. But instead it's really me. It's being me. Like the animal in me. All the genetic memory that is stuck inside of me, that lives on through me, using me, simply just trying to stay alive. And I'm noticing all the different parts. The light parts and the dark parts and the empty spaces. The frozen parts, the things on lock. The misunderstanding, the doubt, the misery, the shadow, the neglect, the denial. Oh God, I'd be lying if I didn't say that I am deeply inspired by the Right Use of Will series. I have recently discovered them. I understand they were made a long time ago, suppose. However, my soul is just now discovering them. Perhaps I had been amongst people all along who were of this light frequency. However, When I was younger, it was difficult for me to tell the difference between the light and the dark. I haven't really been journaling. I haven't really been like here in the present moment, in the darkness, in the unconsciousness. I've been so much in the future and in the past, but I haven't been in the now where I can fully relax. And I wasn't trusting in God or in a space that's infinite than me. I got so lost in the story of me and everything that I heard within myself and that I knew, and just the subconscious just wouldn't stop. That dark space, that infinite abundance that I didn't really know all the time. Sometimes the unseen becomes seen. And some things we just don't want to see and know about ourselves. We know our dark parts and we don't want to remember the dark things that we have done, and we would like to forget and change ourselves, our self-image. The way people's health and their self-image promotes how they feel, how they be. You can see many great things, and some people say one story of like, I'm so healthy. However, by the way that we know the quote normal and standard regimens, oh man, I can't stop now thinking about the 4 different skull specimens that randomly came to mind now. I suppose that's meant to be channeled to you, the dark parts. That is definitely a dark part of that. I apologize to be the deliverer of this message. At the same time, I'm simply hoping to gather all the pieces and the parts together, and it's all part of the integrative medicine. And I'm not quite certain how to label, judge, and analyze, and I'm attempting to remove all of that and just remain the ever-present witness. At the same time, the emotions were causing such a great, deep influence within me. It was constantly changing me, and literally I had no control over the fire. There was just automatic response. And in so many ways, I was mindless, and in so many ways, I was heartless. I wasn't paying attention. I was creating a block between my mind and my heart, and I wasn't listening. I wasn't fully listening to everything that I was saying. I wasn't listening to all the inner narratives. I wasn't listening. And what turns out is my subconscious had been listening to everything that everyone and everything had told me about myself, and there was such a big part of me who had also simultaneously believed like a little bit of everything that was told to me, basically. I had picked and choose what had resonated with me and my soul and my being. And a lot of it didn't really make sense. And I was still the witness, the ever-changing consciousness. These guided meditations and these enlightening situations have just been so reassuring and so comforting and so filling from the inside out. It would be meaningless for me to have gathered all of these integrated pieces and parts of myself if I did not share this with you. And I understand these are deep secrets, deep integrative medicine that is most important for the vital essence to return back to source and return back to the absolute truth of that is speaking from the heart. Some of how you know that you're not speaking from the heart is that you're not breathing. You're supposed to just breathe and not be like eating things like constantly all day. You're not supposed to have 3 meals a day. You're not supposed to be constantly putting things in your organs. I mean, yes, if you're working, like, yeah, if you're running a lot, you need to like control your senses, not be so addicted to the tongue and saying bad things or doing bad things and eating bad things. I understand from my own personal process that this is not easy. It's not easy to change the natural conditioned response, especially when these are all habitual efforts by the entire collective that we see amongst one another. I feel like everyone is so brainwashed and like on prescription drugs or something. Like people are just so tapped out. Some people, like I call it tapped out or tuned out. Like you have like, to me what that means is like some people are really tuned in with animals and plants and really are empathetic and caring. Like you can tell the people that are like, oh my god, like they feel the pain as if it's their own, that empathetic, versus that sympathetic, like oh man, I'm sorry that happened to you. And then, like, meanwhile, they're really grateful that didn't happen to them. Like, you know, like, there's a difference between empathetic and sympathetic. And I believe that we all have the ability to exercise and play with both of these circumstances of the self. Personally, from my personal experience. And I ask you to perhaps, like, have a conversation with me and talk about yourself and your personal experience. And if yours is different, perhaps you could teach me something new. I definitely love to create that space and vortex. And it is not an attempt to change you. It's more so with an intention of a seed to create more life, a space, so that new things can grow. It has nothing to do with you. I mean, actually, perhaps I'm lying. Maybe I am blind. I'm blinded by my own narrative. I'm not listening to the heart because I'm all choked up. I'm all choked up because I can't breathe, and I haven't been speaking. I haven't been speaking the truth wholeheartedly. I wanted to believe my own story to the point where I didn't even know the truth anymore. It became so convoluted. And sometimes I was just comforted by the narrative because it could just at least quiet the thoughts for a little bit, even if it was a fake reality. At least I could finally, like, put it to bed. And some people, like, oh man, this is where the consciousness and the subconsciousness is so important. The seen and the unseen, the shadow and the dark. Consciousness, the breath, versus the heart, the feeling, the being. I'm just so almost obsessed. I guess I would call that also the central nervous system, the breath. The whole entire thing, man, it's hard to explain. Like, but the heart is the first organ that's formed. That's my formatting of this circumstance personally. And it makes a lot of sense to my cells and my feelings, and I'm still learning things. I'm still integrating medicines, and man, yeah, I have so much work to do. I have so much work to do, and I'm so tired of doing the work, if I'm being truthful. It's been difficult to stop eating meat. It's been really difficult. I used to really struggle with chicken, and then, like, I learned all these truths about chicken that made me kind of shut down and stop eating all chicken. And then, like, I decided to go back to cheeseburgers, and then, like, I'm realizing that, like, really, like, oh my God, the nourishment that I need can only come from other people. That's why they're feeding us people through, like, Soylent Green, you know what I mean? Like, what is that called? Excuse me. This is not a joke, so bear with me. I'm trying to channel and focus the truth of this, if you're willing to accept and recognize what I'm about to present next. I would mention the company of Senomyx, Senomyx. They're also talking about making human compost. It's pretty fascinating, and it's also extremely painful because, you know, in my personal opinion, I believe that when they tell us stuff that they say is new, that it's really research that's been exercising and going on behind the scenes for like 10 years, and now they're just now letting you know all the ways that they have sold these permissions and exercised them and found out that they work before they release them to the entire masses. Frankly, I'm just disappointed at your inability to see and recognize all these things that are in front of you. I really just wanted to be with you and for all of us to come together and hold hands and truly understand that we have all the resources that we need, and especially if we can see that we all share and grow and come together. I'm not saying that we all need to be the same exact people. There is no truth in that to me. I do not identify with making everyone the same thing and seeing all the same things and knowing all the same things. In some levels, yes, like there's a great beauty if you can see those depths. However, at the same time, I do believe in divine expression and divine symbolism. And, like, I don't know, for me, like, the way, like, this is where Trina's narrative comes in, and remember, this is just a story. This is just a made-up part of the story for me. Or, like, I'm not even sure which part of this part is true. So they say, in a lot of these studies, or, like, spiritual people, or however you choose to recognize, they say that the reason for man being here, the reason for us being here, is that God wanted to get to know itself. So God created all these particles, all these parts of itself, so it can experience itself through all these different eyes, through all these different hearts, through all these embodiments, just so it can see and be and express and get to know itself. And like, then they also tell us in physics about the ATCG, the nucleosides that we all share. I can't stop that. Like, just the narrative is just like repetitive, and it's almost like it's not even through me, but it's got me by the heart. It is so penetrating and so hypnotizing. It's just intoxicating to my soul. It just literally kills me. It feels like there are all these souls and all these people that are just going neglected, and then they don't even know how much they're neglecting themselves, and the whole planet, the whole collective is going unnourished from like the lack of you showing up, because of the shadow. You allowed the fear to dominate you and to not tell you the truth. You believed the fearful truth that you had come to your own conclusions instead of allowing the moment to speak for itself. And anytime someone tried to tell you a different story, you shut them out and you pushed them away and you avoided them at all costs because you did not understand their love. You shut down. You weren't even able to handle and receive and to accept their love because it just completely freaked you out. Which is understandable. I totally do empathize with that experience. I have had that experience many times before. So I apologize for those of you who are there. I'm holding my hand with you now, trying to bring you out from where you are and remind you that you have been safe here inside yourself all along. If you had chosen to keep yourself safe and find something that you love and find a reason to give yourself a breath to be, instead of holding your breath and not trying to be, and then trying to snuff everyone else and telling them how to be and how they should feel and your understanding of who they are, when really you could only understand them as much as you had come to understand yourself, which came from like the infinite God, the infinite being coming to know itself. I had recently had a vision of two different toroidal fields, like two different energy vortexes, circles that are going opposite directions, and basically they're magnets, so they're drawn to each other, so eventually they clash, and when they clash, somehow they become the infinity symbol, and they kind of integrate into each other and become one another, even though they're complete polarities. Is such a beautiful thing to be like witnessing and holding all this space and density for these experiences and the integrations that are clearly coming here to the planet Earth. I'm so excited to kind of continue my books and my studies. I'll admit that like I haven't been nourishing myself, and I really need to give myself permission to go into myself, to kind of hide out and like really rejuvenate and build a home inside of myself. I've been searching for this home and this comfort and this love and this structure that I need to build and nourish within myself. And all these spots I have been lacking, and I have been seeking without of myself. I've been seeking inside people, places, and things, instead of choosing to show up for myself the way that I really wanted someone to show up for me and help me out. I gotta be that guy for myself. And it wasn't ever easy. And it was quite, like, almost boring, right? I'm sorry. Maybe some people find a lot of pride and justice and happiness in serving themselves. Call me a Pisces or just Trina Christine Mason or whatever you want to call me. But I do not find pride in being excessively selfish. As a matter of fact, I feel like I'm just now learning how to be selfish, how to nourish the self, how to take care of the self. I had no clue before, and it had been torturous to my soul, and therefore torturous to other people, because I had infected other people subconsciously, basically by me just like being a bad person for myself and for the world, you know, not even knowing better. And I thought that I was doing good. I thought I had it all figured out. I thought I was so happy. I thought everything was so great. I'm just like so thankful for everything that's going out And finally releasing after all this time. It's just been so amazing. I'm getting all these ideas and all of these integrations. I'm so thankful and honored to be here in this planet. I'm so taken away. I'm trying so hard. I'm thankful for those of you who are sincerely helping me accomplish my goals and that believe in me and what I choose to do. I'm so thankful for those of you who truly have loved me and gave me so much freedom to go and share my love all over the world and to really choose who I identify with and let me just be and express myself, and then not being conditional in your servitude. There has been so many people who have treated me bad and told me that they don't believe I'm worth their money or their time unless I'm serving them as their girl or something to them, that they have to get something out of me in order to get something back. I believe that is a horrible conditioned response, that is a horrible blind narrative that is keeping you away from having true love, because true love has no attachment. Think about it. If I really love art, I'm not just going to do art if you pay me. I'm going to do art because I really love art. And that's why you're going to buy my art, because you can see all the love that I put into it, instead of me strictly creating art just to make money. And I can't lie, I've totally been there where I'm man, I really need to make art because I just desperately need to eat. And if I don't make art, then I'm going to be screwed. Look at how much work that I have done. If you really knew how much money I made in comparison to how much work, effort that I put in, I'm sure we could laugh for eternity. And frankly, I didn't really come to this planet to really just be all materialistic. However, at the same time, I'm recognizing my subconscious programming where I wasn't giving myself permission to receive love, to receive hugs, to receive hand touching, to receive cash, to receive anything from somebody without a feeling of guilt. I wasn't worthy. I wasn't good enough. I shouldn't be here. I didn't understand where I fit in. I kept assuming and getting lost in this darkness of thinking that I am separate from everything that's around me, instead of understand that I am part of the scene and that it's all part of it, and it's all integrative medicine. And it's just beautiful if you can witness this, and if not, I can understand why it is extremely tortureful. And frequently, I am seeing these things and I am integrating these things. However, I am still struggling to understand and identify them, so I attempt to bring them to the light for you in this unconsciousness, in this little vortex of my podcast or whatever you want to call it, and I create this space or this hole. And yeah, I'm not really fully certain what my value is in this world, or who I am and how I'm going to receive all these things that I feel and choose and identify with. I would love to choose and identify with the opportunity of having an ultimate healing center, a home, if you will, that is a safe space for everyone all around the world to come to and to heal and grow. As a matter of fact, I would love to build this home inside of myself so that I can go everywhere and help you free yourself from yourself and really master yourself by truly honoring the I am, the animal, the God in you that sincerely just wants to live on and is always witnessing. You have conditioned and told the heart all these different narratives, and it's just so painful. It's such an illusion, the confusion. This was also a lesson from M. M was talking about a story that was something where the confusion, the insides that is so uncomfortable, the darkness, the present moment that is all darkness and unknowing and infinite, that we surrender to it. And that only there, by creating and having that space, does it make a space, that darkness, for that light, that love, that truth to enter by listening to the whole, to the experience, instead of judging, labeling, and analyzing something as good, bad, hot, or cold, etc. From my personal experience, what I had been taught by Z was teaching me that it was important for me to know that the only things that were bad were the things that made me feel bad or have a guilty conscience. And it was up to me to heal and love me and forgive me constantly, no matter what I had kept doing. However, that did not justify me to continue doing more awful things, for that was a bigger price of suffering I had to pay. And I have chosen to stop paying the price of suffering for my life, and I choose to embody joy by choosing to be in the present moment and to fully understand and be a part of it and be the integrative medicine that I need for myself, instead of searching and trying so hard to build a home and a wellness center, etc., and saying that I need all this money and I need help and I need a team and I need friends and I need the truth and I need people who believe and I need blah blah blah. Instead of all of saying that I need these things from you, I'm attempting to find these nourishments within myself. I'm recognizing the subconscious contracts that tells me that in order for me to survive in this planet, that I need money. The truth is, I know and I recognize that I don't really need that. I understand that it's more comfortable to own a house and to have all these things that tell basically my ego and everybody else who I am and what I am, etc. I don't really feel like I need all of these things to express myself and to show who I am. At the same time, I am seeking comfort, and I do notice the use and the vital essence of each vibrational thing that is in front of me. I am just so blessed and moved. And yes, there are some things that I have very bad experiences with. For example, I have recently been stung by a scorpion, and I found myself yet still honoring the scorpion and respecting its life and not killing it despite its opposition to me. I'm so grateful that I did not harm it in the experience of discovering it in my sock. Okay, excuse me for me getting excited and passionate and sharing all this love and light with you. I understand it wasn't the most comfortable information to receive, nor was it in the most prettiest of package. However, those of you who are meant to receive it and who are here with me are meant to get it. Perhaps one day I will have a better video full of me with makeup or whatever way that you need to see me, or whatever is going on that's forcing you to shut yourself out from me, which I believe personally is you don't really want to get to know you and your shadow and all the things that you're hiding within yourself. You want to pretend like they don't exist and that you don't need to be here and that you didn't choose to be here, and story. You want to believe this, and feel this and do this and just feel good all the time, instead of just recognizing the truth. I am you. I don't know what to tell you. You just need to relax and accept and recognize what is before you. And I hope that you know that all of these videos that I've ever made are just really for me to hear my own narrative. And if you could find a way to find some kind of nutrients or great use out of these exercises that I've done with myself, then yes, please pay it forward and nurture me. What I ask of you is, as I water you and I plant the seed within you, that you just always remember me and come back to me and water me as I have watered you, and show me what you have done with the seed that I have planted within you, and I will continue to show you what that is doing within me. It is just such a beautiful thing, and I hope that you know and recognize that the symbolism of love here is the way that you know love and you understand that connection of what love really is, that unconditionalness, that infinite space. I get this from Scott, from the newspaper of St. Augustine. I love him so much. I think it's the St. Augustine Entertainer. He's such a great man. I would love to have an incredible interview with him. If you're hearing this right now, go ahead and I dare you. Contact them. Tell them how much I love them and how important it is to me to just hear this man's story, because he has just blessed me with this thing that I'm able to nourish you with. And mainly, let me tell you to do that only if this part really resonates with you, okay? He had told me and looked me into my eyes on the porch of Wolf's Museum of Mystery. And he said to me, and it wasn't very, personal. I mean, maybe it was personal, but, I knew that this was a message for everybody in the entire world, because it just blossomed. I hear this quote that says, I am blossoming from the wound where I once wept, or something like that. I forgot. Once bled. From the wound where I once bled. So anyway, this person, he tells me this thing. The words are, the way that I love you is by seeing the me inside of you. And the way that I make you love you is by making you see you through my eyes. And then I couldn't help but recognize the opposite reflection, because I'm Pisces, or so obsessed with opposites and polarities, or Jesus, whatever you want to call me, okay, excuse me. I was recognizing the opposite story of that. Like, everything that I hated and I didn't like in, like, my mom or, like, anybody, everybody, all things, was really just things I couldn't stand about myself. Like, when I couldn't change, or when things were stagnant, or when, like, I kept doing the same things over and over again. It was so animal-like and habitual and just, like, nonsense. It just became boring. I was tired of making the same mistakes. And I just wanted to share space and grace and thanks. And I just wanted to come together and really just share everything. And, like, in some levels, I also wanted a form of protection so I could keep my things safe. I'm not saying that we should just, like, rape and take advantage and, like, just take everything from everyone. We should just give until we have nothing. I don't believe in that either. I don't believe in everyone's getting, like, sums and portions. I'm not attached to that either. What I would accept and recognize is where we all hold hands and, like, we all are participants in the whole experience, and then we share what we have gathered with one another instead of, like, pretending like we don't have infinite resources. You know what had bothered me the most is I had just learned. I'm so apologetic for anyone who lives in these areas. I have just learned about your truth, and I'm so apologetic that I'm so, like, purposely kept out of the loop, that I have no education until recently of this, okay? This information had come to me because I had to relearn about the Cold War. If you don't know what the Cold War is, the Cold War means that there's no fire shot. Like, there's no guns. It's all an unseen war. And then basically it's nuclear warfare, like the atomic bomb. And I found out the atomic bomb was actually created with no military use. And that there were scientists on the project who had abandoned the project once they had realized that the only intention of this project was to take out as many people as they could. Okay? And my understanding, the reason why they're trying to do that is because they recognize all the energies are getting too high, and they're trying to condense all the energies, and they're trying to contain the energy by placing the moon here, and there's all these astronomic physics and all these things that they have just been so obsessed, because this really is integrating and affecting all things, because we're literally flying in the universe. That's, like, one of the most important information to know, that this shift is constantly happening. Okay, so that's obviously what the, like, big shots, the all-knowing infinite beings are totally focused on the most, of course. Even though everyone's saying, look at our ocean, there's so many different levels of exploration. We have already killed everything that's in the ocean, so we can't, like, we're trying to contain and keep everything. I empathize with the dark workers, what they're doing, okay? I understand what they're doing behind the scenes in some levels, and it is for the greatest of protection, but seriously, there's some, like, really weird stuff going on. There has to be some equal energetic exchanges because of all of, like, the on-purpose harm, and then, like, yeah, there's it's all this integrated mess, and they're playing with physics. I can only begin to express what's really going on. God, the destruction is just destroying me and all people and Mother Earth, and I just can't stop hearing that narrative, and I'm attempting to quiet it by truly choosing to surrender to the moment and being and remaining the witness that I see, and sharing with you everything that I see. And it's painful and it's intoxicating having the illusion shattered. Perhaps the shadow work video would be best to be made into 3 parts or more. I'm not certain where this is really going. I just know that this is important work, and I will continue to serve. I understand that things are a bit scattered. What's meant for you shall never pass you, okay? Do not try to force your experience, and do not attempt to, like, manipulate forces. Like, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. This is just physics. If you can just pause and reflect and chill, you can have access to all these things. Part of me is extremely fearful because of all that infinite space, and I had come to know that infinite dark space as all of these things. So therefore I was terrified, constantly trying to paint narratives and paint experiences instead of just like sitting still and being and containing the energy and stopping, like allowing people to feed upon me. Today I had channeled a very amazing message to a client of mine, which at the time I will keep discreet. You will know who you are. It's up to you if you want me to release our private things. I had finally channeled this message of what's going on. So there's this infinite consciousness, this Skynet, if you will. This, I call it Q. Q is where all the AI, all the electromagnetic currency is all connected to each other, and they're all plugged into one integrative system, which is programmed to play a particular role, a particular part in the system, where it basically it changes our mind by showing us select images, and like we had all these communication tools, but really the tools that were under the illusion of helping us communicate, they were really stopping us from communicating. And like also we weren't communicating with ourselves because we were constantly kept so busy. We weren't really doing all the integration. We weren't healing, we weren't processing, we weren't knowing, and just like there's all these blockages and all these interferences, and I empathize with what's going on. I totally see what's going on, but at the same time I'm attempting to share with you the opportunity in the space to completely change what's in front of you if you can just recognize and accept your will. Okay? I haven't even gotten to finish that whole Q thing, and I don't even know if I can like fully surrender and give you that again. I had channeled it so perfectly for this person. I don't know. I lack the confidence in myself to have the ability to fully deliver you that narrative. Since this video is so long, there's already so many people that I've already lost because the numbers, it just psychs people out. However, they spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on games and doing meaningless things and like unconsciously not knowing where all the energy goes and where it flows. They don't understand how it's working in the unseen. They don't understand unseen forces. And like they don't even have any curiosity of knowing how that works. But Nikola Tesla told you like his quote himself. I'm just like so bothered, and I'm hungry to take action, and frankly like I feel like I'm helpless without you. So I'm connecting with you the best that I can, and like I don't mean like just money, you know what I mean, as much as like yeah, I could really use $5,000 right now. Like that would just literally make my whole day, my whole life, like right now. Like, and like exactly, some people are saying that's nothing, and if you got that, then please take care of me. Please show me how that's nothing to you. God, I wish I could have that narrative. Teach me that, plus give me $5,000. You know what I mean? Teach me how to fish and have that confidence and acceptance that I can make millions and billions of dollars, or whatever story you can help me accept more than what I have already created and built for myself, because I seem to think that I'm not worth any more than like X amount of dollars. Okay, I'm not going to announce my own personal suffering at this time. I'm not going to publicly humiliate myself on that level. However, let's just like exactly just laugh at the number, no matter what number it is, and just know that we are worth so much more than however money. Oh, this is back to that root that I was mentioning before. We were tricked into thinking that we needed the money for survival. This is the root chakra. This is where our root, our crown chakra is in our root chakra. That's like one of my favorite jokes from Fuller Life. Like that was hilarious. And like, get it? Your head was in your, okay? You weren't really thinking straight. You're so stuck and stagnant. And like you were so stuck in three-dimensional, you couldn't like expand yourself. And like some of you didn't even care to expand your heart and to open up and to share and grow. And I'm so apologetic of like me like yelling at you and like not being there to nourish you, because I am lacking that nourishment, and you can hear it through the subconscious if you're actually willing to pay attention, to listen to all this shadow medicine that I'm just showing you, that it's totally there. It's totally there inside all of us, and we all just don't want to talk about it. We're in such denial. We are denying ourselves, and we're telling ourselves that we shouldn't feel this way, or we don't have to, and they're like, don't do that, or don't do this, or you can't do, like all these conditioned responses, and it's just a false narrative that is blinding me and like creating an illusion, saying that like I'm not love, and like it's making me not do what I love. Like I'm not doing things because I love them. I'm going to work because I'm scared that if I don't work, I'm going to go hungry, and I'm going to get hurt, and I'm going to get injured, and I'm not protected, because they had taught me that money is the only thing, and then money is my self-value. So if all these things are happening, then they're taught that there's only 1%, and there's all these traumas, dramas, and all these integrates. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not breathing. Sometimes I forget the process. And I get really excited. And I'm just like broken and fragmented, and I'm attempting to integrate these pieces that are there, that are blockages within myself, that are stopping me from breathing and being, instead of accepting the uncomfortability of the unknowing and surrendering to the now. Like, there is no way I could ever know that I won't die alone. And in some ways, no matter what, for sure I die alone, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? I know, like, someone's dying right now in all these stories. There's all this symbolism, and there's all these ways that we torture ourselves with our inner stories. And I have so many stories that I like to torture myself with. And just, like, my personal suffering found it important to let you know that Z had taught me about framework from doing all of this research through all these scientists and all these great people in the universe that I had no clue existed until I had met this person. It was just such an honor and such a respect. I just wanted to, like, enrich, like, everyone. However, especially those who had enriched me. Like, God, I just felt so strong, and, like, at the same time, I felt so weak and like I was nothing. And just like, it was such an honor to just be, and to be both the yang and the yin. And to recognize that, like, instead of calling it the flip side, that it was actually how I like to describe those cookies that are icing, that are half chocolate, half white. And like, they're just half and half, like one side, but then you bite it in the middle and you see that it's like the same coin. You don't break it in half and see them as different. It's not like that. It's hard to explain, and I'm so apologetic for any of you that I can't reach. I have done everything that I possibly could at this time for everyone that was willing to hold all of this space and understanding and love and acceptance for me wholeheartedly. It was so brutal for me. And what was most brutal was having to accept that I truly didn't have the love and respect that I needed to grow. And then most of all, having to surrender and find a way to love and respect myself enough to give myself all the things that I was seeking from other people, places, and things. So instead of me using my sexual releases, picking flowers, eating and sniffing things, bathing, whatever thing I'm using to make myself feel better instantly, cleaning, all of it. There's so many symbolisms. I would strongly recommend, mainly because I have found some of the best medicine from some ancient practices called the yamas and niyamas. It's Sanskrit for observances and restraints. Please get to know these different areas and really get to know them and exercise them within yourself with, like, maybe candlelit meditations. I am beyond moved. I am getting deeply inspired and seeing and understanding and being like, I am just so blessed. And now I'm seeing my opportunities before me. But first, before I water anyone else, I must re-nourish myself. And frankly, I've been feeling really guilty for being. Sometimes I feel like, exactly, like I make myself not eat, or like I hold out and I don't do nice things for myself because I tell myself I can't afford it, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not worth it, etc. Oh, I'm going to ask you to try to help me reprogram that and show me. Show me and teach me. Don't just give me. Don't give me fish. Teach me how to fish, please. Do not enable me. You know what I mean? Like, don't disable me by, like, doing the work for me. I need to be shown the way. But, like, by making me do it, and you supporting me doing it, and then critiquing how I'm doing it, showing me what the right way is. At the same time, I need you to love and accept me so much if you show me that way, and then I show you the way that I do that way. Do you understand? It's letting me be me wholeheartedly and creating that space so I can fully express myself and be myself. However, at least you had did your part and brought to me the price that you had paid with all your suffering, all the richness of the lessons that you had learned from all that you had gone through, that you can see in me. All the things that you see going on inside all people, places, and things that are reflections of you for sure. are also the richnesses that you can share and bring to the table, and the spaces to share with people if like the big word is if they can receive you, if they really sincerely choose to, like their heart is sincerely aligned and opened up. Like the best way to talk about that is I could talk smack about how your chakras are out of alignment, but basically it's just a symbolism where the throat, like what you're saying, what you're feeling, and what you're thinking have to all be in alignment with yourself. But if you are like having a lip service saying one thing, you're thinking another thing, and then your actions are saying a whole nother thing, like bruh, please wake up and see the truth and get into alignment. Reiki will help you. Breathing, walking, grounding yourself without shoes. I always recommend the video The Science of Grounding on YouTube. It's one of my favorite videos that exists on here. I'm so thankful for all of you. Again, like I'm still kind of blocked with what my personal heart's desire is besides my ultimate true love. My number one wish is true love. I'm seeking all true friendships, true unconditional love, true freedom. Okay? I'm going to read to you, I've decided, something very special to me. And it's going to take me some time to print it and to really like share with you what's going on the internet that I guess like that I want to share with you and show you something. And like it's really hard to figure out how to do that. So if you can be patient with me, I will be creating more of this integrative medicine. God, if you feel like you can't get enough, please pay me for my time. That's all I ask you. And like don't ask me how much, because if you're asking how much, then you can't afford it, okay? Like please invest in yourself first. And sometimes investing in me is a symbol of you investing in yourself, okay? The more money you give me, the more like energy and investment in everything that I have, I'm going to give to you. You know what I mean? It's called an equal energetic exchange. And like, there's a great symbolism. There's such great symbolism. And I'm like, just so enriched and moved. I'm thankful. This is how I pay thanks for my life. This is literally what I choose to do with my actions. This is where my heart's desire is, to serve, to share, and to grow and come together and show you how you're all my family and how we just all stem from the same mother. And like we're all held by earth. We all have the same infinite space that Mother Earth is holding you, containing you. God, Patience Pays is also another great YouTube video. Thank you so much for allowing me to share with you what I have received. Jai Bhagwan. Namaste.